So on request, I have created a template from my 5e templates that I have, as well as the Pathfinder 1e edition that I have. And let's take a look at it. So it's going to look very similar to the last ones if you've seen them. If not, go take a look. They're on my YouTube channel, so you can just look at them. I might put out some new videos that explain things a little better. They were one of the first ones I put up. So first, this is where your campaign section is. Everything pretty much goes to a campaign database. And you have the name followed by whether this is going to be, well, this is your campaign. So you're going to put your own tag in there. And this is multi just in case it stretches, but most likely it won't. Same thing with this. You're going to put under here whether you're PC or whether you're going to be GM. And then that should not be here. Oh, that's why. Because these two fields have to be filled out for it to populate here. And the rest of this is either going to be links that you have onto it, players, if you have other players, and notes, and then, of course, play days. If you've got multiple people other than yourself that want to do this, then you can set them all up as a DM and be able to see all their character sheets and everything like that. If you play in person, if you don't use a VTT, something like that. So you have as a GM, this is for the full dashboard. As a GM, you're going to have this page, which is going to be your session 0 notes and things that you can plan out. These session notes are going to be here. As you're a player, you will also notice that you have session notes on here. The session notes that you have are going to be tied to your character. And this one's just generally called PC. You'll obviously change your name. We'll get into that in a second. But that way you can have your session notes divided up or planned out like I do in my case. Also for 2nd edition, I've replaced these for some quick rules, mounted combat, all that kind of stuff, character advancement, those kind of things. You've got your campaign timeline, which you'll be able to help plan out your adventures. World history, I left this one blank instead of a database because I like to bury with tabs and expand things that way whenever I just build my world. So I have these levels. I also do that a lot with my planning when it comes to just my adventures with my players. PCs. This is going to be where you see all your PCs for your different games in general. Monsters, different monsters that you can create. There's NPCs. All of these have their different tag for it. Locations, organizations, villains, items. This is just going to be so that you can create all this stuff for your specific campaign. And of course, when you have monsters and places and everything, whenever you go into it, you can get by the filters and you can go to the database and you can find those monsters or Troll Skull Alley if you have multiple campaigns going, and you'll be able to attach them to different campaigns. But I didn't put them open for the entirety of all your notes simply because I figured you could either add them or monsters you'll probably just put notes into. And you might have to have specific monsters for every campaign. But from here, from the outside, you'll get the general, everything is just underneath whatever monster role. You'll see all your PCs that you've got. Let's see. From here, you can also not only get to items and villains. This is just an example of the dashboard that you will create as a template. There's your link to the main database. And there are some other databases in here, but they're going to be character sheet really specific. That is mostly going to be because of skills. I didn't want to populate either a skill connected to every single character, as it changes what is going to have when it comes to being either trained, or if it's going to have what proficiency level, stuff like that. And we also have spells. This is very much like my other two. A little bit of changes for this one, not much needed because Pathfinder. This one's obviously not going to be filled out. My 5e one that I got, I have notes connecting it to someone. I have like 900 spells in that thing. Thanks to some people. Linked rules. This is where all of those links are coming from, either from any of your campaigns that you're running. This one's also going to have included with it at least the full version of it. Full version and the GM version, I'm going to include a RPG town generator. This is going to be updated a little bit for your Pathfinder 2e, so it's a little different. Populations, a little different than last edition, and then it just simply randomizes every time you either Control R or when you go to the next page. And the only thing that I needed to change for this one is how it reads for the settlement size. Settlement size, I have 4 villages, 3 towns of different size that I divided up. You can ignore these if you really need to. And then 2 small cities in the metropolis. This goes by the rules that you have to have at least 2 cities before you have metropolis and so on whenever you create your own town, kingdom, whatever. So I use those rules in there. Also have a connection to the archives of Nethys down here at the bottom for you. It's going to be scattered throughout as well. Let's take a look at what the main draw for the full is, which is going to be your PC sheet. Your PC sheet is going to have this, and as I've noted here, you can delete this field if you need to, but these numbers are going to align with some of your stats. So you can just leave this down here if you wanted to. Will reflex for it. This is your flat-footed AC. Yeah, I know it's going to be a little different. And then your normal AC. That should read. So your defense section is going to have any armor, any items, and then your PC. Anytime you create... Anytime that you create a PC, a brand new one, and you pick the PC one, you are always going to want to make sure, one, PC roll a new gamer check so that it shows it up outside. But you also want to relate to whatever this name is. As soon as you create it, name it, make sure this relation is done, and then you can fill out your level. These will auto-calculate as you go through. Flat-footed's -2 is what I have it set in there. You can fill in your strengths and stuff. And what this does is this allows you to have something like a sword. And is it trained? Is it none? Trained. And what this does is this, depending on the proficiency level, is going to either wrong one. this is going to calculate depending on what your proficiency is. You always want to have a proficiency if it's an item. Don't put a proficiency if you're a person. You're proficient with yourself. We all know this, don't worry. But the way it is there shouldn't be a level on this unless it's a sword or item or something that gives you an extra one, and it's still got your attack bonus, just like you would for like a +1 sword, whatever. But if your proficiency is none, you get -1 for it, and then it won't add in the additional pluses. This takes into effect the fact that your level is represented down here with your attack. And then as we go with a +1 sword, so it has a attack bonus, you're trained in it, so that makes 3, and then you're level 1, and then you have a 16 strength on this character, so it calculates your attack. And you can change all these as you go. Now here's the deal. You don't want anything on here that you're not going to be attacking with for that weapon. I also have this over here. If you're using multiple weapons for some reason, you may want to change this up. It's just that you either need to duplicate this and specify a weapon for each side so that it does the calculations for you, or you're going to have one weapon because I can't separate them really. Or if I did, I would have to add too many different additional fields to go with the code. But this gives you your single attack, 2, 3, depending on how many actions you want to take out. And then general, you've got items, containers, PC. You don't have armor here. But one of the things, as you saw with the sword, you've also got a backpack. Backpacks function like so. A backpack you're going to create for your character. Make it a container. It's going to be equipped. And as you can see with the backpack, it's connected to that character. It's a container. You don't have to worry about most of your stats, and you can add descriptions thanks to all of these being their own pages. But because items come in here, if they're not select on, and if they're related to the PC, along with the campaign, make sure that this is set to your character as well. Oops. Because that way, whenever you get rid of an item or doff it, it's going to go in your bag. Then you can click on this and it's going to come right back. Also, a reason for this, I originally made this for my wife at her request for Pathfinder 1E. And then she had me make it for 5e. Maybe it was for 5e and then I made it for Pathfinder, but regardless. Also, you can do this, which is going to be buffs. You can add buffs as long as they have simple effects onto them like this. When it's 1 AC or, you know, a little extra, whatever, strength or something, you can add these buffs and adjust them that way. And then, of course, you can look at them in different ways if you need to. But that way you can check on and off your buffs and have full description and have all of this other stuff in there. But that way it'll add things up. It'll be underneath the sum. And then let's see here. Got a place for your class. Just a simple spot. That's the Magus. Feats. I don't have feats added directly into this, although I guess we could. It'd go along the exact same thing with the buffs. I think since they are feat and they're continuous, any additional buffs or additions needed to be added into bonuses for whatever you're going to be using. And you can have your attack bonus or whatever you're going to have. And then, of course, you can have your specific bonus, whether it is going to be a ranged attack bonus or melee attack bonus, as well as just a attack bonus or an enhancement bonus like this. Here's the spells. Like I said, this will be view is going to be specific, once again, for this character. So you can keep track of all your spells. And then if you create a spell on the main spell list, you're going to be able to connect it to your character in whatever campaign it is. So you can just fill out all the spells you want or generally use and then connect it to all your different characters. Skills. Skills are going to calculate depending on if they're oh, okay. No, I did that right. So it's going to be specifically if you hit trained, and then it's going to have your level in here. It's basically the exact same code as it was before, where if you're not proficient, it removes your levels, and then if you are proficient, then it adds the level and all the penalties that you decide to add to it. Here, the only thing is I couldn't connect the two very easily, so you're just going to have to click and drag your level every single time so that you can automatically do it, and you'll have to put in your bonuses that you have here separate. So it's not going to be as quick as maybe it is for your attack and defense up here, but I mean, it's just as quick as if you'd done it on an actual character sheet. Plus, you can remember if you have anything specific for training, and then you'll be able to give yourself legendary or whatever you need to as your character advances. That's skills. Limited use. This is just a connect to the cantrip spell. Another way to put your spells is here, or levels 1, level 2 if you're a spontaneous caster. Any other special abilities, how many times you got left. I don't have a different button because I didn't want to pull in too many different resources for everybody with the page. I thought about it, but if I use it for everything, it gets kind of jumbled. That's just standard little simple inventory. If it's equipped, if it's in the bag, back and forth, it doesn't change where this stuff comes from. It's just here for easy. Same thing. Just fill in items if you want. Maybe you don't want to go through the trouble of making anything special for your characters. Simple dice roller. I got it hosted up top. This you can use for your character sheet. Just do a PDF or a screenshot of it. You want to do that. There's all that. All of these are going to be associated towards you. See hat? Hat is in here because we created hat when it's just items. Armor. There we go. Totally forgot to check that. So that will be fixed whenever y'all get it. And then there's your notes that you can have, and you can see that there's session notes and timeline and history and aspirations and goals for your character, backstory, session 0, and they're going to mostly just be blank, but they're just a way for you to organize all these yourself. And then go back. And then if you're just going to be either the GM dashboard or the player dashboard and you don't have the full, you're going to have this for the PC Lite. Say you just want to fill in stuff. It's just got spots for you to fill in everything. Your inventories, that simple inventory. Skills, it's the same as before. So put it in, it automatically does it if it's trained or not. Let's see here. Limited use is the exact same. Buffs, just whether or not it is, you know, how many minutes you got. If it's on, if it's not, just put your common buffs and then check them on and off, and then you can add the changes yourself and deduct from them as you're seeing the effects. Same thing with having your stats all right here and your movement. All the common stuff that we use and changes constantly throughout combat. Class feats, all that kind of stuff. Another connection to spells specifically for this character. Rules, all this for character. And make sure. Locations, organizations, you see this. That's all going to pop up. And then let's see here. Monsters and villains. That's this template. I put it so you can just have all the stats as a DM down real easy. This one will not be available on the player version, but on the GM, obviously, and then, of course, the full, you'll have access to that. See here. Locations. Got the campaign I've showed you. And that's it. And then, of course, you can change the views or anything you need to however you want. But I find it an easy way for me to keep track of all my different campaigns, whether usually 5e or PF1, and I can keep track of all my different characters. A couple of these are from, like, this one was a nod to a monk my wife had. But take a look at it. Tell me what you like. Tell me if there's any changes or anything I missed, any kind of hints or tips that you've got for me. And I appreciate you stopping by. If you like this video, check out my others. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any tips or requests, drop them in the comments below. And until next time, may your crits be epic, your adventures legendary, and your gaming table filled with laughter.